remember one of the
Just
Guitar Hero games was a Kiss theme too. I remember that. But okay, here we go. Christopher Nolan and Amazon have a strong mutual desire to make next James
I don't
Bond.
want. As soon as I hear someone has a mutual desire with Amazon, that worries me. That really worries me.
Here's the Wrap speaking to a handful of top producers about Amazon's recent acquisition of James Bond. The overall consensus, and it's a strong one, is that Amazon absolutely needs to hire Christopher Nolan for the future of Bond to be taken seriously. Here is a quote from the Waynes from the Wrap's report, coming from the franchise producer who believes the only possible path for credibility is hiring a top director like Nolan. If I think they actually have a point there. If
Yeah,
Amazon
no,
wants to
that's true.
preserve the legacy, they should do everything possible to get Christopher Nolan and wait for him as long as needed. Another source described as a quote-unquote top franchise producer, please Amazon, has probably already contacted Nolan since there's a strong mutual desire to make it happen. Nolan himself has long suggested he be down to direct a Bond film. The influence of those movies in my filmography is embarrassingly apparent, Nolan told Happy, Sad, Confused podcast in July 2023. And so there's no attempt to shy away from that. I love the films. It would be an amazing privilege to do one. You wouldn't want to take on a film not fully committed to what you bring to the table creatively. So as a writer, casting everything, it's a full package. A few years ago, Nolan was talking to former Bond head Barbara Broccoli about directing a franchise installment. Nolan wanted to helm 2 Bond films and set them both in the 60s. That's a good idea. However, the main issue was the amount of creative control Nolan would need if he were to make the film. At the time, Amazon MGM was also pushing hard for Nolan to direct, but alas, talks eventually failed. Broccoli, known as a real nitpicker when it comes to micromanaging the franchise, refused to give Nolan the freedom needed to make the film, much like what happened when Danny Boyle decided to exit his own Bond movie over creative differences. I would have liked to have seen his Bond film. That was the one he was going to do, and said we got No Time to Die, which was a disaster. But anyway, I don't feel like getting to that. I'd be shocked if Amazon MGM don't reach out to Nolan. Hell, I'd be surprised if they haven't already reached out already. If they're serious about the future of the franchise, they'll also grant him final cut. What this franchise needs is credibility. With Nolan at the helm, they would be getting just that. I agree. I think if Nolan, I know this is the first time I've heard anything concerning the future Bond acquisition means I might give it a chance. I like the fact to be set in the 60s. Let him do a trilogy. Let him do a Bond trilogy. And then you could start over and do your own crappy thing later. I'm sorry I'm being mean, but what do you think? Yeah.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think that maybe the writer of this article is acknowledging that they have mismanaged this property, which is something I think we've been saying for a while here. And maybe this is a realization that they need to as I oftentimes oversay, crap or get off the pot. Do it right or don't do it at all.
I don't know if Christopher Nolan is British. I think Darth Plato was thinking the director should be British. I don't know that matters, only because I think the state Britain's in right now. I don't know if there's anyone out there who'd be able to do it justice.
That's a great point, but that actually leads into my other point, which leads into our next article, and that's just don't screw around with the stunt casting that turns the audiences away.
All right, so let's look at half the actors are British in Hollywood, though, so I don't know if this would be different. Actor Pierce Brosnan has said it is given the next James Bond should be British. In an interview with the Sunday Telegraph, the former Bond also said that it was the right decision for the franchise's long-standing producers to hand creative control to Amazon. It takes great courage for them to let go, said Brosnan, who is Irish. I hope that Amazon handles the work and the characters with dignity and imagination and respect. The choice of Daniel Craig's successor will be a decision for Amazon MGM Studios. James Norton, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and Theo James, who are all English, are among the bookmakers' favorites to fill Craig's shoes. Bond has been played by 2 non-British actors in the past, Australian George Lazenby, as well as Irishman Brosnan, but 007 has never been an American, and among the names mooted for the role is California-born Austin Butler. Other non-British names have been suggested include Irish stars Paul Mescal, Cillian Murphy, and Aidan Turner, Australian Jacob Elordi. American Clint Eastwood once reportedly turned down the role, with the Hollywood legend previously claiming he was approached to take over Sean Connery in 1967, but said it didn't feel right for me to be doing it. Yeah, I don't think that would have worked.
Well,
plus
yeah,
Eastwood took
definitely
over
not for
Dirty
him.
Harry. That was his film icon character.
I kind of can't see
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood affecting a British accent. However, I will say this. We've had a lot of Brits play American roles. So I don't see that it can't be done.
We have a lot of Americans of British descent, too, in the country. There's
true, and if you have good enough actors that can, put on an accent for a role, not all actors do, and not all actors do well, but if you are a truly professional actor who is a true craftsman, then you can do an accent. And you could probably do it so well that people wouldn't even know. My understanding is that Tom Conkle, who many of the people in the chat know, independent film creator, has worked with John Cleese in the past. John Cleese, whom we just saw last night in A Fish Called Wanda.
Yes.
And John Cleese did not realize at first that he wasn't British. Thought that he was a natural Brit, and he goes, no, I'm American. I'm just doing the accent for the role. And Cleese says, very good.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. I think of British. I think John Cleese. I'm sorry.
I know, right?
I am going to say that he. Sometimes when Brits try to be American, they're too American. If that makes any sense.
I have heard from Brits say that if they are not very well versed at the different American accents, they tend to gravitate towards Southern American accents.
Because there's a relationship there between.
There is a connection there. They're not the same, obviously, but there is understandable corollaries. If you really understand linguistics and dialects, and if you understand what the word phoneme is, then you kind of get why people say that. People that have studied accents. And look, that's the other thing. Even British actors have to study British accents, because whatever accent they have naturally, there are a whole bunch of accents all across the British Isles that, you have to master for different roles. We have many times joked about how Hollywood has loved to use Brits as the villains, because that accent just sounds, so villainous. But keep in mind that that's a very specific British accent. If you watch a British production, you will hear them using, a received pronunciation, a Cockney accent. Cockney accent in a British production is used oftentimes the same way we oftentimes use a Southern accent here in the United States. Usually denotes maybe not as well educated, working class, and sometimes using an accent that way is a shorthand to give you a lot of a character's background without actually having to take up any dialogue with it. I did not know that, but that doesn't surprise me.
Gary Busey? I'm sure he has a British personality tucked in that head somewhere.
He is so bizarre that anything you say about him, I could absolutely believe.
But anyway, I'm fine. That being said, I am fine with them also casting a British actor. Just find a good actor to play him. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not hopeful for future Bond, but if they get Nolan on board, I might give it a look, because it's Nolan. We need an auteur director in charge of this, because we need someone in charge, because we just get someone who takes orders and doesn't give them. That's going to be a problem.
It really
regardless,
is.
I at least want a vision for this. maybe it won't be a vision I'll like, but at least it'll be a vision unlike franchise merchandising and franchise hell, which this looks
it's
like.
Really what I've been saying about so many things, not just this, but all areas of business, politics, everything. You need the adults in the room. It's time to stop screwing around and get down to brass tacks.
Bring Goldfinger back.
Yeah,
I've been reading the book. So far, he's the best villain, but I just got through Thunderball recently, actually.